think that Europe presents the biggest challenges to the investment community. And after that, Japan, when's the JGB market going to blow up? When is it going to cease to be a widowmaker of a trade? I mean, these are important questions. People have been looking for that to happen for 15 years. Maybe that's why you only see a fifth of those investors say that Japan is the worst place to invest.
When it comes to which assets they're investing in, I found this interesting. Stocks ranked number 1. It beat out real estate, number 2. Gold and commodities actually slipped a little bit in terms of how many fans it had as the top performing asset class that we saw from the last time around. When it comes to the worst performing asset classes, bonds, the cash bond market, absolutely. Almost half of them say that bonds are the worst place to invest and that they are looking to unload some of their bond holdings in their portfolios.
Well, think of the extraordinary rally we've seen in fixed income, and not just government debt, but also corporate debt, and even in the high yield market. So, of course, the question is not whether, but when the bond bubble is.
But they're also looking for the Federal Reserve policy to continue to be accommodative. 75% say the Fed will continue to buy bonds through next year, which could still support the bond market. It's certainly something we heard from Jan Hatzius, the chief economist at Goldman Sachs.
Well, what I'd love to know, and what our poll doesn't tell us, is whether these investors are putting their money where their mouth is, right? And this is what we heard from Jan Hatzius, the chief economist, as you say, at Goldman Sachs. Very much mirrors what the investors are saying. Equities are a good bet. Bonds, he expects bond yields to rise slightly, not by a whole lot, to your point, perhaps, because there is that underpinning of quantitative easing. Interestingly, I hate that word, but let's use it. Commodities unchanged in 2011. Because if it's not interesting, why would we be talking about it?
Eric Schatzker, always the editor.
All right, folks, it's time for the Bloomberg Top Headlines at this hour. Let's take you back to Alex Steele. Alex.
Thank you, Eric. One more sign the housing recovery is picking up steam. Americans signed more contracts last month to buy previously owned homes. Pending home resales rose 5.2%, much higher than the median forecast by economists. Traders and investment bankers, though, at Citigroup will get smaller bonus checks this year. That's according to people familiar with the matter. Citi's bonuses will shrink about 10%. The trading and investment bank units will also cut 150 jobs. The latest target of short seller Carson Block says it's studying its legal options. Olam International has sued Block's firm Muddy Waters for defamation in Singapore. Olam's CEO told Bloomberg that may not be the only place where it files suit. Shares of Olam have dropped 10% since Block questioned its finances. Eric and Sarah, back to you guys.
Thanks very much. And Carson Block, let's remind everyone, was here just a couple of days ago. If you missed the interview, check it out on Bloomberg.com. Coming up next on Market Makers, challenging times for the incoming chairman of the SEC, Elise Walter. If she's confirmed, what will her biggest hurdles be? We'll be speaking with a former chairman of the SEC, none other than Harvey Pitt.
Plus, Eric, interestingly enough, Amazon has another big moneymaker. We'll show you how the company's counting on more than just online retail.
A smart trader puts the same effort into choosing a broker as he does into choosing when and which markets to trade. For tight fixed spreads combined with fast execution and a host of free trading tools, Intertrader.com is the smart trader's choice. Become an Intertrader today.
Spread across the globe on a range of indices, including the FTSE 100 and Wall Street. Trade today with City Index.
One country in Asia is becoming known as a destination for investors. Indonesia, a member of the G20 with a GDP of $1 trillion, backed by sound macroeconomic policy. Indonesia is politically stable and reform-minded, with a burgeoning domestic market and a young and dynamic demographic base. 50% of our people are under the age of 30.
tired of your broker forever changing conditions to suit them? Would you like to use tools an institutional investor would use? Gecko Global Markets' new, highly intuitive and transparent platform lets you manage your trading and investments like an institutional investor. We've literally leveled the playing field. Variable margin, extremely low total cost, a wealth of innovative tools and more. Our platform equips you to reach your goals. Gecko Global Markets, empowering you.
Become an Intertrader today to receive a welcome bonus of up to £1,000. First deposit over £500 increased by up to 10% to a maximum of £1,000. Terms and conditions apply.
The countdown to the close of the European markets is sponsored by IG, creating opportunity 24 hours a day.
Mary Shapiro will be turning over the reins of the SEC to Commissioner Elise Walter in a couple of weeks' time. Will the incoming chairman be able to navigate the myriad problems dogging the SEC? Let's find out. Harvey Pitt is the former chairman of the agency. He's also the founder of Calorama Partners. With us from Washington. Harvey, it's always good to see you. And we are going to get down to the business of what it's going to be like to be Elise Walter, chairman of the SEC, in just a second. But if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question as it concerns SAC Capital. Now, I know that a person in your position is loath to speculate on what's going to happen to SAC and to Stevie Cohen, the presumptive target of federal investigators, but I do want to ask you about a Wells notice, because as we and other news organizations reported yesterday, SAC Capital received a Wells notice from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Why is that an important event?
It's a very important event because it signals the fact that the staff of the Enforcement Division of the SEC believes that it has enough information to recommend that the Commission allege violations of the federal securities laws. That in turn puts SAC in a position of having to defend its prior conduct, and also, given the reports, having to defend its conduct to investors and would-be investors.
Harvey, based on your experience as chairman of the SEC, how frequently are Wells notices actually followed by litigation? Because as I understand it, a Wells notice is an indication or a signal of the SEC's intention or threat, perhaps, to sue, but no guarantee that a suit will be filed.
That's correct, but I would say, and this is really sort of back of the envelope, that it's about a 95% likelihood that some form of enforcement action may follow the issuance of a Wells letter.
Do you think it will center back to hedge fund manager Steve Cohen in the end? Do you think that the SEC finally has a reason to look into him specifically at this point?
We don't know exactly what the Commission is looking at, or its staff is looking at, or what the Wells notice provides, but in cases like this, where an organization gets a letter, it also takes a look at the individuals who run that organization. So one way or another, it's logical to assume that the senior managers at SAC have in fact been looked at by the Enforcement Division.
Well, in very short order, Harvey, what the SEC does about SAC Capital is going to cease to be Mary Shapiro's problem and become Elise Walter's problem. She is going to be the chairman because she's already been confirmed by the Senate as a commissioner. She doesn't have to go through that process for at least another year. Talk to us about the efficacy of enforcement under Mary Shapiro and Robert Khuzami, who was, up until recently, a presumptive candidate for the position of SEC chairman.
Well, let me say, first of all, I think that over the past 4 years, Chairman Shapiro and Rob Khuzami have done an outstanding job of revitalizing the SEC's enforcement program. They have brought far more cases, received far better results in terms of fines, penalties, and recovery of ill-gotten gains than at any time in the Commission's history. So I think the enforcement program is vital and is vibrant and is functioning quite well.
Harvey, if that's the case, why do people look at the SEC and say it's a dysfunctional agency? It's not doing as much as it should. It's failing to live up to its obligations.